Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're great. I am top shelf, and I got a lot of feedback. I did from my O-Talk on the weight. I want to go over the same topic, just a little twist on it though, because a lot of feedback on that from personal experience. People were telling me stories about how true that was and about how they're still carrying things just because they always have. You really don't understand the weight of something that you've carried around a long time until you set it down, because it's almost become a part of you. It has. That's a strange thing about burdens. They disguise themselves as routine, as necessary, and their weight is just become a part of who you are. And you don't really understand how heavy something is until you set it down. The whole phrase, "you carried the weight long enough, now it's just about setting it down," has become a bit of a mantra in several people's lives since I said it during that podcast. And it's so important because as husbands and wives and friends and partners and sons and daughters and parents, we carry weight. And it's just, sometimes it's our identity. But when you finally let it go and you can finally exhale, you realize how much of your strength and your time and your mind it was taking from you. So that's what we want to talk about today. According to the American Psychological Association, nearly 70% of adults they report carrying ongoing emotional or mental stress that they describe as unavoidable. And hopefully we can spot it and come up with some ways to avoid it. But those same people, they practice even 10 minutes of intentional release or reflection per day. Their stress dropped by more than 40%. Okay, let's just take those stats in. 70% of adults said emotional or mental stress that they carry that's unavoidable. Then they took these same people and started practicing 10 minutes of intentional release or reflection, and their stress dropped by 40%. What does that mean? It means many times the reason we're carrying the weight or the burden is because we don't want to address it. 10 minutes of addressing it cut it by 40%. Now that's strong. And all these are measured. That's why I tell you where it came from. They have metrics. They have to quantify their results. But here's the thing. You don't always have to fix the burden. Sometimes you just got to put it down. Let it go. Whatever analogy you want, set it down. Unstrap it. Let it fall. It's like the sandbags on the hot air balloon. They cut those loose. They want to go higher. They get rid of weight. Get rid of the burden. And there's some smart people who have talked about this. This is nothing new. This is nothing new at all. But a few quotes I found on it. Sometimes letting go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on. We'll fight. We'll defend it all day long. But letting go gives you more power. If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. It's common sense, right? Okay. Well, remember that, because common sense hopefully prevails over the next 30 minutes about how we can let it go. You can't pour from an empty cup. Stop carrying what isn't yours to carry. And then a lot of the burdens, because we're talking about them like they're physical burdens, and sometimes they may be, But these are mental burdens. It's everything from grief and anguish and regret and resentment and just fill in the blank. But one of my favorite sayings, and I don't even know who said it, I could look it up, but when people are carrying unnecessary burdens or investing in toxic relationships, you're watering dead flowers. Stop watering dead flowers. You're never going to get a return. They're never going to be beautiful again. They're dead. Let them go. So it's a topic it's really helped me because I'm a giver. I am. I don't like asking people for stuff. I don't like asking people to help me. In the days of the garage, it was fantastic because people would just come in and we would talk and we would laugh in a group. Fantastic setting. But then when it was one-on-one or maybe a small group, people have burdens and we talked about it. But I didn't really share mine. I don't want the help. I'm learning from hearing other people. And so I think it's a little tougher for me to admit I have the burden. And it's probably a little tougher to let it go. So what am I talking about with burdens? Because a lot of times we don't even realize that we're carrying them. And so I go from the physical burden to the mental and emotional. But let's just talk about it. So I'll name off 10 pretty quickly. I'm not going to take a lot of time with this. But just what I'm talking about when I say a burden. A need to please everyone. People pleaser. Or a need to please a particular person. Or it's your need. It's up here. They don't even know you're trying. And you may be pleasing everyone. So that is a burden you may be carrying without realizing it. Regret over things that can't be undone. We keep playing it over and over in our mind. You can't undo it. Deal with it, move on. It is an exponential waste of time. You got to let it go. Let it fall. Guilt for someone else's pain or unhappiness. That is a huge burden. If I make someone I love unhappy or make them go through any kind of pain, I'd rather hurt twice as bad. However, that's their burden. You've got to deal with it and let it go. Or comparisons, measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel that they put on social media. That's the worst thing about social media. It stirs people up. That comparison, that is a heavy weight. You can have that in your mind and it's paranoia. And you keep trying to do better and better based on someone else that they're just posting their best. You're only seeing their highlight reel. Yeah, it's like the Airbnb. You see these pictures, this beautiful view and these big rooms and all this stuff, and you get there, they use some pretty cool angles. It's not quite that nice. So don't compare it. HGTV, we went through a thing there for a while comparing our rooms to their rooms and trying to do the upgrades and all of that. Oh, the burden, the choices. Also, unresolved conflict. If you'll think about some of these that we've said, unresolved, okay, why is it unresolved? Resolve it. Or quit thinking about it. Quit replaying it in your mind. That's a burden. And then even the illusion that you're in control of something that you're not, you're trying to maintain control when you don't even have it. This is one of the stories someone told me. They were in bondage thinking they were here, and the pressure of being here was crushing them when they were down here as far as the other person's opinion. So then they were crushed the fact that they weren't up here. So this person, they're learning to let it go. Or trying to live up to expectations. Expectations are very interesting. Expectations of your parents, expectations of a boss, expectations of a mentor or someone where you may have hero worship. You may not have agreed to these expectations, so now they're a burden. Or you may have these expectations in your mind that don't even really exist on behalf of that other person or yourself. It's a burden. All of that you're trying to determine. And it's exhausting. The weight of a secret or the weight of the truth that hasn't been spoken. You know the truth. Ooh, that's tough. I know people who can't keep a secret. I tell people two things, and this is ironic. But when I interview people, I get under the covers a little bit as far as, let's talk about your hobbies or your family or something to loosen them up. They talk about something they're passionate about. But what I do tell them, and when you want to ask about me or my project or whatever's going on, I say this over, and some of you heard me say it face to face. I can't keep a secret, and I don't have the ability to lie. The second part is a lie because I can keep a secret. The weight of that. When somebody tells me something in confidence or put it in the vault, I think, I don't have any room left in my vault. That's weight. It's tough, especially when letting that secret go can resolve something. It's an unspoken truth. I can't even set the record straight. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. That's tough. And two, the silent pressure on you to be fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. Now, you don't ever want to hear a woman tell you they're fine, because they're not. That's one of the words. I got that coming up in a list soon. But that pressure, it's okay to not be okay. You've heard that. It's okay to be okay. But there's pressure to be how you want to be perceived when you're not really that way. So these are all subtle, sometimes unrecognizable burdens you bear. And a lot of times without even realizing it, just because you've done it so long. So if this is you, understand you're carrying some weight that you don't have to. But if it's one of your friends or someone that's close to you, notice that. And we can talk about different things. And there's also, sometimes I said earlier, it's not solving the problem or getting rid of the burden sometimes. Sometimes you can share it. If you can't set it down, you can share it. Yeah. There's some signs, like you feel exhausted when nothing really big happened. That's a sign that you're carrying something that can be shared or set down. I'm just so tired. Why? You haven't done anything. It's because you're carrying all this stuff that's invisible and it's weighing you down. There's nothing big that's happened. A lot of times the past, these are weeds that are coming back. Or if your mind is just racing and you can't really separate it out and solve anything, that's a sign you may be carrying some stuff that could be shared or set down. Or this is a big one, you avoid conversations that could bring closure. Because that's awkward. It can bring resolution. It can solve a lot of stuff in the past. It could. And that's just sharing that sometimes is like setting it down. Or you confuse, this happens all the time, activity with productivity. I just got to be busy. Let me be busy. Got to keep it going. Or you feel relief, not guilt, when you imagine walking away from something. Yeah. These are all important. And the thing is, when you have so many and you've been carrying all this stuff so long, it's just a casserole. Sometimes you can't pick it out. That's why sharing with somebody, having that circle of friends is very important, because they can pin you down. So something's wrong. What is it? What's bothering you? And you can be specific about that. But now some of the weight or burdens that we carry, we should. That's why it's important to shed the stuff we should not. Because life is heavy enough. So some of the things we need to carry, some of these burdens, responsibility for your own actions. Yeah, you screwed up. All right, own that. But deal with it. And don't set it down until you have dealt with it. I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. This is therapeutic. Deal with it. Take responsibility for your own actions. So many times, if you don't, you're going to have 10 more burdens that result from that. If you don't have those 10 things and you don't have to carry that responsibility anymore, because you're going to make it right. Also, promises you've made. If you've made these promises, you've made a commitment. You should carry that burden until that promise is kept. That's being an adult. It's being a human. Yeah. Doing hard things on purpose. You need to do that. That builds discipline. It builds resilience. It does all of this stuff. The hard choice is usually the right choice. Make it, own it, and it won't be a burden. That is picking these burdens up and then setting them down once they're complete. I think protecting somebody or speaking up for someone who can't take care of themselves. I just recently started some partnerships with people, and the number one thing I said, loyalty and backup. Loyalty and backup, which is the same thing, only the backup is hard sometimes because that is speaking for me when I'm not in the room. That's loyalty, but it's also an action-backed loyalty. So I think that's it. Protect somebody that can't protect themselves. And then the last one I'll say is the weight of faith. Believing it before you see it. That's so. Some people call it gambling. Some people would call it a leap of faith. Some people call it trust. All of the above. That's a heavy weight until it comes to fruition, and then it's not a weight at all. And the more you do these things that I just said, the responsibility for your actions, commitment to promises that you made, discipline of growth, doing the hard things, protecting someone that can't protect themselves, that will build your faith. That will make it easier. That will make these burdens short term. It will. Some burdens will build us. They strengthen our spine. They steady us because you're doing it. You're dealing with it. You got on your big boy britches and you're taking care of business. But even these should be carried with purpose, not pride, because pride will make all of them heavier and put unnecessary burdens on you. So we've got to clear the weight and the burden for the ones we need to carry. So how do we do that? How do we rid ourselves of unnecessary burdens? You got to discover what they are. You do. You have to know, and you have to admit it. And sometimes it's a long, hard talk with yourself. So you've got to identify them. But here's the thing. When I say you've got to identify it, you got to name it. Give it a name. It's not as scary once you name it. And if it's an emotion, all right. I'm not mad. I'm hurt. I'm not mad. I'm embarrassed. My heart is broken because of this. Okay, now you're getting better. Why? Keep asking yourself why until you can name it. Because if it's an emotion or if it's as specific as you can be, put a name on it. What is this unnecessary burden? And then you've got to be very honest and just say, hey, is this mine? Is this mine to carry? Another person said he realized he was carrying the burdens for other people, worried about the decisions that they were going to make. These are answers to questions that haven't even been asked yet. Nervous for someone before they do something. Nervous for someone in case they encounter a situation. They're hypothetical. And then he realized, I have myself all worked up because he didn't have the faith was hurting, and he's a little bit of a pessimist, I can tell. So if he does this, if he names it, is it his to carry? No, it's not his to carry. Let it go. If you need to call and check on these people, okay. But don't ruin your moment worrying about their moment. That is a burden. And say it out loud. Say it with your chest. Burdens hate light. So shine a light on it. Tell somebody you trust. That is a great way, and that goes back to sharing it. Now, It needs to be somebody positive and honest because they probably have burdens too. But that's great. You share it. That way you're only carrying half. And they may get you to set the whole thing down and you both walk away. And then practice just setting part of it down. Break it into pieces. Make it less heavy, less burdensome. That can be like you get outside, go for a walk, do something in nature. Write it down. Create something. Put on a hour-long playlist. Because every little granule lightens the load until it's not that heavy anymore, or it's not even there anymore. And then when it gets lighter, replace the weight with gratitude. Every burden you release creates a spot for freedom or peace or control or growth, whatever you're needing in there. So make sure when you clear a space, you fill it with something lighter. Gratitude is a great one. Because if you don't, your mind's going to put something else negative there. So name it. Ask, is it yours to carry? Tell somebody. Even if it's just yell at the sky, I'm not carrying this anymore. Do something to small releases. Lighten that load, and then replace it with the things you're grateful for. Because if you continue to carry these burdens, you're going to get burned out emotionally, mentally. And then what happens is, and I've seen it recently with someone close to me, you lose your empathy. You do. And it's replaced with apathy, which is the opposite. But you're so tired and emotionally spent, you just can't care anymore. Physical tension, stress-related stuff, that'll make you sick over time. You're just wiped out. And then you get bitter. You look at the time you've wasted. And that bitterness, that will ruin good relationships. It will ruin them. It's too much for everybody. And then you've analyzed it, you overthought it, but you didn't do anything. Now you regret that and you resent all of that. In all of this, it's become so normal, you forgot what lightness feels like. So let's deal with it. Because on the other side, I told you the 5 ways to let things go. It is glorious when you do. Every one of them. And the weight, I talked about a backpack with bricks in it, and you're just taking these off. And it's fantastic. Breathing feels deeper and cleaner. You can sleep better. It comes so much easier. Then the small things that, the only word I can think of for it is joy, and the small things comes back. Music sounds better. Laughter, you laugh more. You hear it. You notice it. Because before you were so tied up, you didn't. It was just, and then you can even, probably for the first time in a long time, you can have some silence because your brain's quieter. Yeah. You stop reacting to everything and start responding. All these things we talk about. And the right people finally have room to walk beside you. That might be why your friends, if you think I don't have anybody I can tell this to, why is that? You've been no fun. You've been a mess. But now you've set these things down. You're not carrying these burdens that were unnecessary. We listed the ones that are necessary. All these unnecessary burdens are gone. Now there's space for these people, the right people, to walk beside you. And then you just rediscover that peace isn't something that you chase. It's what shows up when you stop running from it. And that is so important. Peace and freedom and resolve. And it's a choice. So it's very important to think through it. I've got the getting to a good place process works. It works for big things. It works for small things. What is this? Why does this bother me? What is it specifically? I don't think I'm on to it. Go until you can't be more specific. And is this mine to carry? A lot of time the answer is no. Remember that study? 70% were carrying something they said was unavoidable. And then they had time to think about it, to process it. 40% of it went away like that with no actions. So when you finally set that burden down, you don't lose your strength. No, you reclaim it. You reclaim it. And then here's the thing. You've got to make sure once you set it down, you walk away from it, because you're going to be tempted to pick it back up. You're going to be identify that. And when someone else brings the same burden to you, nope, I set that down. And you'll learn how to deal with that. You'll learn how to not have to set burdens down, because you'll keep the unnecessary ones out of your life. That's the same muscles that carried the pain, they can carry the new purpose. That's why you have to replace it with something. Replace the pain with purpose. And you're going to be stronger, and you can carry that a lot better. Purpose is a lot lighter than pain. And so these hands that you've been carrying the weight with now, you can grab stuff with them. Your hands aren't full. They're free. In your heart and mind that were so tired. Now, your heart's beating again, and you're thinking about stuff. You're clear. You notice things. You're more creative. You're more positive. So you don't need permission from anybody to lay these burdens down and stop carrying them. You'll never know how heavy it was until you feel how good it is to walk without it. I remember for a while, my mom didn't let me until I got a little bit older, but to just as part of my fitness, we'd wear ankle weights. 2-pound weights. And at first it's clunky. By the end of the day, you don't even notice them anymore. And then you take them off. Wow. You're walking lighter. You don't have those burdens on your feet. It's the same way. You didn't even know how heavy it was because you just got used to it. One thing, let me ask you for this action item tonight. Unless it's you just got up and stampeded for an O-Talk tonight before you go to bed. Think about what we've talked about here. And ask yourself, what am I carrying that isn't mine? It's somebody else's. And that can be anything. It's probably emotional. It's probably mental. It could be an apology somebody owes you. All right, you need to deal with that. Could be an apology you owe somebody else. Okay, you own that. You don't own other people's action items. So what is it that you're carrying that isn't yours to carry? Then just for tonight, set it down and breathe. It's gone. You wake up tomorrow, all right. Every day, if you set one of those things down, you're going to be better off. Take 10 minutes. You identify them. Take 10 minutes and think about it. Why is that still here? Is it mine to carry? All right. So please work through this. You'll get better at it. And once you put all the burdens down, or most of the burdens down that you shouldn't be carrying, you learn to stop them at the door. You get good at it. No, I set that down. No, thank you. I'm not going to let that in. Nope. It's glorious. I've done it. I do it. I'm doing it. So, thanks for joining. Hit me up at david@otalks.com or dave@otalks.com. Tell me what burdens you've set down. Quit carrying because they're not yours, or you dealt with it and got rid of it. I would love to hear them. And some of you that responded when I did the weight, which spawned this O-Talk, let me know did I cover what you wanted me to? If not, let me know. Let me know what's next. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate you hanging on. Don't hang on to those burdens. But most of all, I appreciate your O-Talking with Dave. Giddy up.
Hey there. Are you having computer problems and can't get the help you need? Is there a language barrier or other obstacles that make you feel insignificant and unappreciated? We know just how you feel, and we are here to help. We are the Amish Tech Team. The Amish Tech Team is known for their work ethic, quality craftsmanship, and attention to detail. The Amish Tech Team will ride to your house, assess the situation, and leave you feeling good about the experience. Oh, Jedediah was just a lovely young man. He didn't fix my computer, but he built me a new desk, repaired my roof, and planted 2 rows of corn in the backyard. All of our technicians at the Amish Tech Team are English speaking, respect traditions, and know their way around a grist mill. Send a letter by mail or carrier pigeon today, and when we get it, we will hop in the first buggy available and head out to your place. And the first 10 requests will get a complimentary jar of sorghum or an Amish Tech Team horseshoe to use as a paperweight. It's a real horseshoe. You don't have to put up with services that put you on hold or talk funny. Contact the Amish Tech Team and we'll be right out as soon as we get your message and get free of our chores and load up the buggy and travel to your place, depending on traffic and the weather and those dad-blame motorized vehicles and all those bright lights and shiny signs that keep distracting the horse and tempting the young